guys, and welcome to a new unboxing for Netrunner. That's Tim, that's Zach, and we're gonna have a nice little intimate session here. I'm Steven. We were really kind of feeling the this shot for the X-Wing unboxings and a few others, so we're gonna try it for Netrunner and see how we like it and how you like it. It should allow us to be closer to each other.
The main thing it does is lets me go.
That's true. Alright, we got, what is this, Up and Over?
Yes, this is Up and Over.
The newest data pack for Netrunner. And I'm going to kick it off, homies, with Architect. It is Jeremy Zwirn's 2012 championship card, which is...
And that's Jeremy Zwirn on that card.
Cool of itself. Jeremy Zwirn playing a space keyboard there.
It's really pretty crazy how fast they put this out.
It's a 4-cost Sentry, 3 strength. And it cannot be trashed while installed. So let's hold the phone here.
Hey, that's good.
We've got Lotus Field now that's screwing with my Parasite business. And now this one as well. So what's up with that?
You can still Parasite this one.
Yeah. I don't need it if I got Mimic. I'll just pay. But you don't want to pay 2 every time we go through this. But you got to.
Can't get rid of it.
The Corp looks at the top 5 cards of R&D and may install one of those cards, ignoring all costs. It does not have to be ice. Any card just can install it. Boom.
I'm going to install this hedge fund.
Man, this could be really good. The Corp may install a card from Archives or HQ, paying all costs. This is really good.
I think that this ice is really strong.
I think it's really, really solid. I don't know why HP wouldn't just kind of run this. Regardless, I mean, you can think of ways to abuse it, right? Where you're like, I'm going to pack nothing but archers and, Wotans in my deck. But that doesn't really help you that much because it doesn't come in rezzed.
Correct.
So it's like, this is just a good little economy ice engine.
The thing that this does for me that I think is the strongest part of it is you get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck.
Yeah,
you don't shuffle them. You don't put them on the bottom. You just know what your next 5 cards are.
So what do you do with those 5 cards?
You put them back.
Put them back. I would assume in the same order.
Yep.
So I have a question here.
No. Yes.
Maybe.
So it says you can install a card from Archives or HQ.
Yeah.
If I install a face-up card from Archives, do you know what that is?
Yes.
I have to tell you this is the card I grabbed.
Because it's face up the whole time it's moving over in theory.
Technically. It's like, now you got to go slower so I can see that. Yeah. But if it was face down, it's good to go. Same thing with the card off the top of my deck. That could be really interesting.
Yeah.
Another fun scenario that this can have happen is someone's running your remote server with your agenda in it. And then they hit this, you look at the top 5 cards, and you install over that an agenda.
Oh, baby. It. Or you throw an Ash over there all of a sudden. And
then you install over it, and then you install it in a new remote server with the second subroutine, and then just advance it out the next turn.
Hey,
that's baby.
I also like this. I mean, the ability to, on a piece of ice, not just a one-time card effect to get cards back or get cards into play like this, I think is actually extremely powerful. I'm picturing how many times do you go in, you find a sand, it's like, well, you have to trash the sand, and then your next run is on HQ, and they pop this, and it's like, oh, joke's on you.
Yeah, this is.
I can also see this being really good against noise. Like, oh, you milled an agenda? Well, you're
going over my remote.
Just put this right over Archives. I mean, they can obviously break it, but if they don't, it's really annoying.
It's taxing.
Yeah, I mean, you just put this thing. It's great over Archives.
I like it everywhere, man.
Yep.
I like it on all places.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah,
good job, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
That's a great card.
HB, get some juice there.
All right, up next, we have Peak Efficiency. It's a 1-cost HB operation. It's 1 influence. It has no traits or anything like that. You gain 1 credit for each rezzed piece of ice.
Oh. So is this the... I don't know. I feel like every faction is kind of getting a... I guess their green level clearance was kind of HB's Sweeps Week, Beanstalk kind of level of card.
Celebrity gift.
Yeah.
This is more like their... whatever the card is where you gain 1 for each remote server.
Yeah, this is way better. Yeah, this one's way better. So is this really an economy card that's going to compete in those economy slots? That's what you got to ask yourself.
For me, it's going from 1 to X, right? It's like you can literally be 0 credits, 1 credit, play this card, and potentially get a mass amount of money.
You could get you could get some credits. I mean, let's talk about how. So how many would you say, Tim? Let's talk about early game. It's turn 3. How many pieces of ice, on average, would you say are rezzed?
1.
All right. How about turn 6?
3.
How about turn 15?
It depends on the deck. At that point, it's...
Maybe 8? Maybe 9?
Yeah.
But I mean, when you think about it in like an ideal scenario, you're like, oh yeah, I'm resin all this ice, but a lot of times you're really not. You're not resing that much ice, and you don't really want to be resing that much ice.
And if you're resing the ice, you're spending the money to res the ice.
Yeah, and then you're getting some of it back. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you kind of have to build to this one, right? It seems like it would have some synergy with the Foundry, where you're just kind of like constantly pushing on ice. Has the
Or
next
Amazon
thing going
Industrial
for
Zone.
Amazon Industrial
But,
Zone.
I mean,
Yeah.
Is this? You said you kind of have to build to it, but is this the kind of? It's not a
It's
powerful
not strong
effect that
enough
you
to
would
build
build
to, huh?
I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't fit into a deck later that for some reason has a lot of res dice anyway.
I mean, if I had like 3 pop-ups, 3 pups, 3 quandaries, just the annoying
That's hilarious.
thing. And it's like, a lot of times I won't even res a quandary if they've got something like that can break it for 1 or that can just jog through it. But maybe I do now. Maybe I just res all this super cheap ice and it's kind of annoying to get through, and then I just gain money off of it, and it's kind of a suicide-y kind of fast advanced thing. I don't know.
It's possible. I think it's a fine economy card. It's gonna fit in the right deck in the right time.
But it's not lighting the world on fire.
It's not lighting the world on fire. It's not like, oh my god.
You don't build a deck around
This
it. You
card
put
is
it in a deck
crazy.
if it happens to fit.
Yeah,
If you're running a lot of ice, and some HB decks do that, and good on them.
I have to ask you guys a question.
Yes.
How do you say that?
Labyrinthine.
Labyrinthine?
Is that
Servers.
I think so.
Like a labyrinth.
It's a 5/3 Jinteki agenda. It's an agenda at security. Place 2 power counters on it when you score it. Host a power counter. Prevent the runner from jacking out. The runner cannot jack out for the remainder of this run.
That was the funniest power counter you've ever read there.
Power counter.
Power counter.
Now, I will make sure you guys remember the rules on prevent. This is actually a prevent effect.
Okay.
So they say, I'm going to jack out, and you can essentially interrupt. No, you're not.
Aha!
That's really good.
So you don't have to...
You don't spin the counter until they are jacking out.
out.
That seems okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
The only problem with
Which
this
makes it
card
a little
is
bit
that
better.
the only problem with this card is that it's a 5/3.
Yeah, that's fine.
Jinteki's kind of the master of the 5/3 because they all look like terrifying things.
Yeah, they have traps. I'll install advance twice. Go ahead.
Either they're terrifying or you have to spend 4 clicks to make a first run on that remote.
So this is this? Do we file this into the Whirlpool Bullfrog category, or do we file this into something that's quite useful?
Both. I would say both. It definitely works with the Whirlpool Bullfrog.
Put them in the blender with cell
Cell
portals
Portal
and
Neurokatanas and all of those things. Shadows.
They just can't get out.
That's been the dream of Jinteki players since Corp.
It really has.
I'm going to cycle this guy through this thing. He's going to die.
But this also
He's gonna die.
lets you do some interesting things. Like, if you think about replicating perfection with this, if it's scored, and you have to, run on a central first, and it's like an in the run, or not in the run, but it's like whatever,
It's really annoying,
specifically
yeah.
not an in the run.
Sarugi or
Yeah.
Suruga Kamainu, the
it's
juice
like,
that everyone puts out
you can't
there.
jack out.
It's like Surugi told Booth to go run a remote. Like,
This also does some pretty wonderful things from a, like, once you, obviously you have to score it. It's a 3-pointer, so you're already on 3, which is makes this, what I'm about to say, less interesting. But once you do have it scored, all of a sudden install advance becomes extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Because if it is something bad that is back there advanced however many times, or if they had something like a Beal that you could get a whole bunch of points from, they don't. But if they did, where all of a sudden install advance, you can't really run on it unless you are willing to just risk the game, because
Unless
they can
you're
force
willing
you
to die.
get to it.
Right.
And it really, against the Jinteki or against any kind of trap decks, like, the power to keep them from jacking out usually doesn't matter so much, because they initiated that run knowing full well the consequences of whatever that could be down there. So they were going to go for it anyway. You're rarely going to initiate a run on a remote and then be like, and then I'm going to jack out randomly.
Now, one thing as well that this gives a lot more merit to is Chum again. Like, it makes Chum a lot more alive.
That's true. Yeah.
Once, like, I have a double ice remote over here. It's a lot more scary to run on at that point.
Yeah. And it puts you in a weird frame of mind as the runner whenever that's out, certainly, where it's like, I can't really afford for that to be the worst case scenario ice. Because in your head a lot of times as the runner you're like, well, it could be probably 6 different things. 5 of them I can handle. 1 of them would be awful. Like, maybe it's like the weird archer or the weird unexpected roll katana or whatever. and you're just like, okay, I'll just go check it out. And then you go, and it's like, oh, it's the worst thing. Okay, I'm getting out of here because this went poorly for me. And now it's like, well, I can't get out of here anymore. I'm just got to go eat that and keep going.
I think that's an interesting ability. My problem with it is that you only get it after you've already scored 3 points.
Right.
So
the biggest thing about this is it makes your opponent have to make decisions and take them way more. Like they have to
yeah, it's way more serious.
Yeah.
Do I really want to run on that remote server right now?
Knowing full well that I essentially cannot jack out ever again.
Right.
And that's something. Genteki's got some really interesting agendas these days.
Yeah.
So it's a competitive slot for sure. But I'd like to play against it. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Science rather than math, right? Let's talk about AshaGuru. This is beautiful art. I love
that flavor
anything
text
that
is
looks
hilariously
anything
good,
like
by the
that.
way.
It is a 9-cost barrier for strength. The way past is to go a different way. That's very nice.
I love that.
3 influence, so this is kind of a big one. AshaGuru gains an in-the-run subroutine for each card in HQ.
It's super strong.
Definitely worth paying for, yeah. Obviously, okay, so the mind goes to cerebral imaging, as it does with IQ as well. But
That is
Tim,
where the mind goes.
I want you to tell me why you do not like this in cerebral imaging.
Why I do not like this?
Donut.
Because it's 3 influence.
Yeah.
And by putting this in your deck, you're giving up your Seasource Scorched combos, or you're giving up your
alternate win
Sand
conditions,
Sands, or your for a little bit better HQ protection whenever you're already in HB that has some very potent ice.
Riddle me this. Could you imagine a cerebral imaging deck that just scores normal points? Because it's like, if I'm thinking about this with 12 subroutines, that is a problem. And I don't really have a solution to that problem, aside from the old Parasite.
Aside from the best solution.
And granted, there is a decent amount of Parasites being run right now. Although, there's less than there used to be. I feel like Parasite used to be... The Parasite data sucker, like... Anarch machine used to be in criminal all day, and now it's not as much, especially with like Lotus Field comes out, and then we got Architect now, and so it's like we may see it back off a little bit, but aside from that, it's like nothing Morningstar does, dude. Anarchs are poised to destroy this thing. You guys enjoy, man. I'm not worried about this at all.
Well, you're not running Morningstar, let's be real. And let's be real, this card is not going to be seen very much outside of Jinteki, I don't think.
I was going to say, this feels like one of Jinteki's more just randomly solid pieces of ice.
It's their first real solid piece of ice.
It's just like, oh, that's just an ice. That's like pretty good.
Their other barriers in faction are Snowflake.
I thought that was the juice.
Himitsubako.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
You're saying
and
cards
Wall of Thorns.
I don't recognize, so... I know Wall of Thorns.
This is... Would you run this over Wall of Thorns every day of the week?
It depends on what you're running Wall of Thorns for. A lot of Replicating Perfection decks are running the Wall of Thorns for the 2 net damage.
Yeah.
So they can put it on the outside, and then they have to deal with it or take 2 net damage.
Yeah.
This doesn't do that.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're running Wall of Thorns to end the run,
you're
probably doing it wrong, but...
yeah.
No.
Boy, this is about right where it needs to be then, isn't it?
It's good. That's a cool card.
I think it's really good that Jinteki's getting a piece of ice like this.
What do you think about this in World is Yours with a 6-card hand?
No.
I'm just kidding.
And your 12 influence?
I'm just kidding.
All right, up next we have Mamba.
Love it.
Oh, snakes are back.
It's a 6-cost Jinteki Sentry. It's Psy. Psy. And it's AP. It's 4 strength.
I told you.
It's 2 influence.
Funny man.
It has an ability. Hosted power counter. Do 1 net damage. Use this ability only during a run.
Well, how do you get them?
Well, let's find out. It has 2 subroutines.
But wait, there's more.
One subroutine is do 1 net damage.
All right.
And the other is you and the runner secretly spend 0, 1, or 2 credits. Reveal spent credits. If you and the runner spend a different number of credits, place 1 power counter on Mamba.
That's so cool.
I love this ice.
Man, it's so annoying. Golly. It's like the first subroutine is the bite and the second one is the poison. Does that make sense?
It'll get you eventually.
It does make a lot of sense to me.
No, I'm there.
I mean, you stack this with House of Knives and all of a sudden you just can't run.
And then it's just the
you just
worst.
sit around.
Well,
and the other thing about this is, at worst, it's just a 4-string sentry they have to break every time.
Yep.
Because no one wants to take that damage or play that side
4-string sentries are lame, by the way. They're the worst sentries.
And
they're right above Mimic, and nobody likes dealing with anything over 3 strength.
Except for Otman.
On a sentry. Yeah, Otman at 4 is still getting better and better.
It's still good. Yeah, I mean, you can stack these counters for a while, right?
Yeah.
Like, I could technically, have 5 on this, and then it's like, well, you can't really run and not break that subroutine.
It becomes a problem. Like, if this gets, 3 power counters on it, it's a real problem.
Yeah.
Because it's just 3 damage.
I mean, it's a very real, like it's like, wait a minute.
It's like you get all the way in, I'm going to do 3, and then it's like, oh.
It's kind of like a worse version, or maybe a more primal version of Data Raven, where it's like everybody learns by about game 2 that you cannot let power counters on data tokens or on Data Raven stack up, because then you just die, or you get closed accounts whenever they want, or whatever.
Or they trash any of your.
They trash anything that you want. Yeah. So like Mamba, I mean, you maybe you face check it, you hit it once, and then you're like, okay, I need to calm down and wait until I can get through that. It just shuts it down.
Yeah. The interesting thing that I think makes this
I need to calm
potentially, down. I don't know. I would say more consistent than Data Raven is that it doesn't need anything else to be good.
Yeah. Correct.
To do what it does. It does the net damage if you can't break it, and then you get to play the side game. If you get the counter, you can just spin the counter.
Correct.
Sometimes giving the run of the tag isn't going to do anything for you, so people will just run through the Data Raven and not care at all. But this is you can't just keep run through it.
Well, you can.
You could,
but
you better have some card draw and some recursion.
That's crazy, man.
So,
boy, that's a great piece of ice. Jinteki, man.
Jinteki, making out like bandits.
I'll tell you what, replicating is #1 stunner right now.
I was going to say, are you going to wimp out and not play Jinteki at Worlds this year?
Replicating, it's NEH, it's a few others, but like replicate, like them getting these cards,
good
crazy,
ice,
dude.
Good ice is good.
These are great.
I'm
great
just excited that we finally got our snake.
Yep, you did, and it's only 2 influence. I can see this in a lot of places.
Yeah, run a snake deck. Just kidding.
I mean,
all right. Next up, we have reversed accounts.
Is that noise?
I don't know.
No.
It's a 0 cost NBN asset. It's hostile. 3 trash cost.
No.
Reverse accounts can be advanced. Click and trash it. The runner loses 4 credits for each advancement.
Hold up.
on
What did you
reversed
just say?
accounts.
What was that? No, that card is insane.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Wow.
Yeah, this is any card. I'm excited about this card.
Good.
Sorry.
This seems like a Weyland thing.
So
also,
the thing about this card is
1 influence.
having a 1 influence option that is install advance. That isn't
lose
16.
That isn't just like a trap that just goes bad, right? Like that's the big deal with this. It's the same reason that I like the Grindel Refinery, because install advance. Normally you're kind of just wanting them to run and waste the credits to get there, and then maybe not even have enough to trash whatever it is. But
after they ran on this and like ended with like 2 credits,
yeah.
Like,
anyways,
and then you don't use it. You just wait for them to get more credits. Just
having the option to install advance, forcing them to run on it or not, and then if they don't, just nuking 16 credits.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
It's pretty good. I mean, that seems okay. Am I wrong?
No,
this seems good.
This seems like new archetypes abound, honestly.
I love
fully
this card.
new, but just like
Love it.
my goodness gracious.
It's good. I mean,
I see this. This is huge for like mid seasons, even. I mean, you install advance, and maybe they go elsewhere and do some stuff, and it just sits there. They steal an agenda, and it's like, well, I have the trace however I want it, whichever way I want it, whichever time I want it. Seasource Scorch probably likes this a lot, just sitting over there.
Yeah, it's just waiting.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of cool stuff.
Honestly,
there.
though, not
that
even
click makes it a little bit
not
harder.
even Seasource Scorch,
Doesn't
right?
matter.
Like I'm out of my Weyland deck. I have a lot of ice that is decently expensive to get through. Not like Hadrian's or anything, but even just like a Bastion or a Hive, and the ability to just nuke your money.
a Grim, maybe.
Doesn't this feel like instant scoring window to
Yeah, that's what
yeah,
I'm saying.
no,
You just
no.
get them to 0.
There's 2 ways it goes. They either run and give you a scoring window because they trashed this,
Or
and
they
now
don't
they're out of
run.
credits, or they don't run and you give yourself a scoring window.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
like,
That's
yeah.
the Weyland way right there. This is a Weyland card.
Some would call this a win-win-win situation.
This is all wins.
You and your Office references are on point today.
Who is this guy with a mohawk, though, really?
It's probably Max.
Noise is the only mohawk man. He's got those 4 dots on his head.
Doesn't Noise
which is
have
pretty
like
cool.
super colored hair?
Yeah, he should. But it's it's yellowed out.
That's a very sad man right there.
yeah,
Sure.
he got his accounts reversed, and
Can you
that's
imagine
what
just going broke like that?
Well, I feel like liberated account. We have the Anarch thing, and then reverse is like, oh, Anarch's being sad. It's like emo sad, not.
Wow.
He's like, I'm gonna get revenge.
Like emo.
I'm gonna talk about universal connectivity fee.
How about that name?
2 cost, 2 strength, trap ice from NBN, which means only AIs can break it. Quite nice. It's kind of our data mine, it seems like. Subroutine it's only 1 influence. The runner loses 1 credit unless the runner is tagged. If the runner is tagged, he or she loses all credits, and here's our credit pool, and the Corp trashes universal connectivity fee.
I can dig this.
It's a small one-time fee, apparently. Only I paid it 17 times.
That could be
I mean, you're
the
just
game.
Like, I don't even care about the tagged thing. I mean, I do, because I love tagging people.
Right, but just 1 credit drip is just so annoying.
Just like this in pop-up windows,
Dude,
it's just...
think about this. One,
I refuse.
NBN is already annoying, right?
Yeah.
But then
Don't talk about my Corp like that.
they put NAPD behind this heist. And it's like, well... Because they can tag you. NBN, if they want you tagged,
How about
will
a
have
data
you tagged.
raven, this, and...
RSVP.
And anything else.
Yeah, it's just
Anything
like...
in the server.
If you're tagged, and then you get... How many times are you going to hit NAPD and just want to punch something?
7.
Well, compared to my current record of every time I access it, I would say it's pretty high.
Pretty the same. That's a cool
It
card.
gives a little more play to red herrings, I feel like. If you're going kind of a tag me thing. They can't even trash red herrings if they run through this. And then they certainly can't pay for any kind of agenda. Man, this feels good. This is 2 NBN cards that are really going hard in the econ denial direction, which
Which is good, I think.
and both one influence.
Both one influence. So, I mean, this
the
is
whole
open
game
to
is
the
going
world.
to runner econ denial.
Like, you know those annoying games
Wow.
where the runner gets out to like 20 or 30
And
credits.
they sit on a Crypsis and they're just like,
And they're
put
just
anything
like-
anywhere.
It's just like, ugh. But this literally gives you a way out.
Yeah.
Whether they have a rig and a bunch of money or just a bunch of money, it's just like...
I'll tell you who's sad about this is Ian.
Yeah. That's true.
I got 30 coming in, and it's like, you got 0, baby. And I scored 5 points.
Yeah, I think it's a very strong card in a lot of decks.
Agreed.
Up
I
next,
don't even know. It's a wild world today.
It is a wild
I
world
don't even
today.
know where to go with this thing.
Up next, we have Blue Sun.
All right, moving on.
It's the new Weyland identity. They are powering the future, I hear. They're an
Nice.
identity corp. They
That's
have
full
45-15, like normal. When your turn begins, you may add 1 res card to HQ and gain credits equal to its res cost.
Baby.
Next.
Not so
Baby.
good.
All right, let's talk about Blue Sun. Tim?
I think that
What do you
this is
think?
the best Weyland identity.
What do you think, Weyland player?
Well, we're competing with a lot here, right? Because
You got
Core
some
set
pretty bad
gets
identities.
the ID that when you play a transaction, you gain extra credit, which, you might gain 5 or 6 credits a game off of. Then you have the second one, which is a recurring credit to use on advanceable ice.
Not really hit its stride yet, I'd say.
Which could be cool if we had legitimate advanceable ice.
Which we will.
If it didn't take an action also to advance, then it would be the jam.
Like, start of your turn, use this credit.
Start of
to
your
advance.
turn, you get a free credit to advance any card.
That would
with.
make a lot more sense.
Would love
Or if
that.
it just said at the start of a turn, you can play
And
this
then-
against my counter on.
We were blessed with the first, what I think is the first really legitimate Weyland ID, which was Grendel. Start with 10 credits, but you start with a bad pub.
And even then, it's only 5 credits. Even it opens up a lot of doors. I get it. Like we played that match.
But the biggest cost of that ID, in my opinion, is the lack of 5 influence on Grendel.
Oh, big. And you got the new Anarch bad pub guy coming out in that box. So Grendel's going to be
So
bad.
I would venture to say that a 45-15 with any kind of useful ability is the best Weyland identity.
This is a thesis we're listening to.
Sorry, I've been stewing on this one for a while, writing some blogs, getting into
Zach
it.
is a stew man.
I would like an introductory paragraph followed by a thesis statement, please. Okay.
There it is.
Done.
So the answer is yes. I don't think we need to debate this. I think this is hands down obvious best Weyland identity, which I'm sad about. Worlds is coming. I was planning on playing Weyland. Now everyone's gonna be on the lookout. But it is cool. Weyland finally getting some juice and some really cool plays you can do. Opens up a lot of cards that previously weren't as great become a lot better.
This card is insane.
Yeah,
Let's
I could have said that.
Let's just go over some synergies.
All right.
The first one that comes to mind is Hive.
Yes.
You res a Hive, you score your points, it loses all value, then you gain 5 credits.
That seems like a reasonable exchange. And it chokes up HQ, so the agendas are a little more hidden.
Second
Okay.
synergy,
Hit me.
Oversight AI.
Yeah. Seems
Hey,
good.
Curtain Wall. Pay 1, res it. I have a curtain wall for a turn.
Yeah.
Go ahead. All right, my turn. Balance it, gain 14 money.
14 money is a lot of money.
If there was an operation that you could play
Next turn,
to
gain
gain
14.
7, because you have to spend 2. Anyways, I would play that operation.
Yeah, that's really good. It's really strong. Of course, you lose your oversight.
But you,
No, imagine if there was a card that said recipes of ice for free. Next turn, put it in your hand and gain that many credits.
I would play that card.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
So that's good.
These are good things.
Yeah. Anything else?
The
good
next
things.
synergy, Adonis campaign.
We could have stopped at Insane. But go ahead.
Adonis campaign.
Yep.
I'm Weyland, so I have some pretty beefy in the run ice.
Yeah.
I put an Adonis behind it. Res it. Let it drip. Let it drip. Let it drip.
Let it drip.
Bounce it back to my hand. Game 4.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
I mean, and let's look at the less like obvious things or less synergistic things, which is I play my ice, I stop you for as long as I can. You play the breaker that you need. I bounce it and gain money. Like, okay. Like, I play my quandaries and stuff, and then I bounce it for 1 because Yogg came on the board. It's like, that's fine with me. I can always get, like, anytime ice loses a significant amount of, like, taxing power.
Yeah. When you normally just override it when you install or something.
Yeah.
Instead, you just gain money.
Pop-up window?
You just gain money. You just gain money.
Now,
I mean,
I actually also liked an idea that we were talking about in the store last week, which is, like, basically in, like, a trap-style deck. It's like, install advance twice.
About to go.
You want to run it?
yeah.
It's like, they don't run. All right, bounce it.
Well, you res it.
Yeah, you res
Project
it.
Junebug.
Yeah.
Put it back in my hand.
Then
Install
immediately,
advance.
my first next turn is install advance.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just saw me do that same thing with a Junebug. And it's like, is that a 5-point or a 3-point agenda or another Junebug?
Or an Atlas.
Yeah.
Or, you just install a card to pass the turn. It comes back to you. You res a snare.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'll put it back in my hand.
Yeah.
Install.
It's so funny. It's
There's
Weyland
a lot
games.
of really, really cool
So-
stuff you can do with this, yeah.
It's exciting. Worlds is on the horizon. It's a great Weyland ID, so I'm probably going to end up playing it, but we'll see what
I think you've got to play, and I like, if we look at it from the runner's perspective as well. Well, first of all, in Weyland, this, as long as you have, approximately maybe a 6 cost or around that piece of ice, and you're relatively even on credits, you always have C-Source double scores available.
Yeah.
Start of your turn, bounce it back. It doesn't matter if I have 0 credits. Like, I have that available. So
Heaven forbid they have like a curtain all res.
yeah, it allows you to always
Game
threaten
14.
it. Like, it used to be I could stay even with you on credits and know that I was relatively safe, like barring like some weird restructure, something. And even then, it's like that takes a click. But it's like now I can't. It's Plasticate. You have got to do Plasticate at this point. So when I'm thinking about the runner, especially going into like a world situation, this has just come out. We know Blue Sun's going to be at least played. Maybe I would say 15-20%, maybe more. You got to run your Plasticates now. You've got to be ready for Weyland again, and that cuts out a lot of good runner deck space that is now going to make you weaker against all these other decks that are just as good. So, good luck being a runner right now is all I would say. I mean, it's difficult. I think it's really hard. Thanks, Blue Sun.
I agree. Next
What
up,
an ID though.
we have another Weyland card, Changeling. It's a 5-cost,
I
4-string
love how this
barrier
looks.
ice. It's morph. Changeling can be advanced. Hey.
There we
Well,
go. We're
Changeling
just
has
dogging
an-
on that.
While Changeling has an odd number of advancement tokens on it, it gains Sentry and loses Barrier. 1 subroutine in the run, 2 influence.
Yep. It's what it is.
I like this kind of ice.
Yeah.
Early game tempo, the ability to basically have either or when you want it, pretty nice.
Makes a lot of sense, especially if you're going with the commercialization plan as well. You can always just kind of keep changing this to whatever needs to happen, and then it's like, all right, he put a Sentry Breaker, I'll change it back to a barrier to make it more taxing, because maybe he put some kind of is there an even efficient Sentry Breaker right now? Fairy? Yeah, but then it's like, I'll leave it a Sentry, blow your Fairy on it.
Yeah.
Do not care. But you can change it back and forth and kind of reap some money back with some commercializations or something. So I could see this being really useful.
Or Trickle Light kind of thing.
This kind of ice consistently makes like your typical rigs a little bit less enticing as a runner.
Well, it just forces you to get the whole rig.
And you got to get the
Nothing
whole
but
rig
the rig.
before you get anything, And then it's like, well.
But again, a 4-strength Otman.
I really like things like Matrix Analyzer with this kind of stuff too, where you can change it on the fly. And it's like, oh, you installed your Corroder?
Or
well,
with Space Camp that's coming out.
hit that Matrix. Yeah,
Space Camp.
which has the coolest art
Interesting card.
ever. All right, well, let's talk about reuse, since it seems to have some pretty cool tank art on it.
I'm a big fan of tank art.
I'm a huge fan of tank art.
That looks more like a fuel
Tank?
something.
A fuel tank?
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Double operation, additional cost. Of course, you spend clicks. There's 2 clicks to play. Trash any number of cards from HQ and gain 2 credits for each card trashed.
I like it. Because it's 1 influence.
It's 1 influence. This seems reasonable. Cerebral imaging comes to mind, I think, for
Can you imagine
I'm sure.
if Weyland had a way to put cards they didn't want anymore back in their hand for money, and then they could trash those cards to gain more money?
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. If they could do that somehow. I don't know how, but
that'd be real cool.
That'd be real cool, bro.
I mean,
where do we get you guys?
I don't know if this. I don't know if this is gonna bring it. I think it has a very specific use, and I don't know what it is.
Well, it may be that I'm just accustomed to getting account assignment, which is old news.
I think that's old news at this point.
But that said, the ability to go from none money to any amount of money.
10 money at its best. Or reasonable best.
Nah.
At best it's more.
6, I guess. It'd be 12.
Maybe
not.
More.
Be 14.
More.
You could do way more.
You could do way more.
No, you could do way more, but like the average deck is going to be
Especially
able to...
if you're running that HQ upgrade that's in the
HQ
core
upgrade,
set.
panic button.
What's it called?
It's Weyland.
No. What's the...
Plus 2 hand size, right?
Plus 2 hand size. What's that called? Research station?
No,
we don't need to know what that's called.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Anyways, but the ability... the ability to go from 0 to 10.
0 to hero.
Let's even 0 to 6.
Yeah.
It's pretty significant.
It's okay.
I'm just saying, that's a thing that happens.
Especially if you have cards that are dead at this point or no longer usable.
Maybe Jinteki puts all their shocks in the discard and gets 6.
That face. Classic.
That's not
classic bones.
The worst idea I've ever heard.
I have a hand that's 3
Shikis
and 3 shocks, and then
celebrity gift it, and then wait next turn, and then trash it all.
Money for days.
It's a big F.
It's an interesting economy card.
Yeah.
It is 0 to some amount, which is cool, but
It's
you
one
also have to
influence
get rid of your hand.
as well.
I think like a deck like Serial Imaging could have used this in a way that's fun, but I don't know if abused in a way that's
I feel like they can abuse it
scary.
in a way that's solid here too.
Yeah, right there where you want it to be, honestly.
Okay.
Up next, we have Hades Fragment. It is a 5 advancement, 3-point neutral agenda. It is source traded. When your turn begins, you may add 1 card from archives to the bottom of R&D. Limit 1 per deck.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I
hate limit 1 per deck. I like the effect. I like that it's anti noise spam.
It's anti-noise spam, and it's just getting your stuff back.
Yeah, but I mean, is this happening? I mean, when I'm building a consistent, cohesive deck, am I going to put a limit 1 agenda in it, 5/3 that has an effect that might be okay?
Let me put it to you this way. I have a Weyland deck, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm building and I'm looking.
You do.
And I do. And with the agenda sprawl that I want, I basically I have 1 card slot and it needs to be a 3-pointer. And previously it's been a cleaners.
Yeah.
And occasionally a cleaners will really matter. I will have scored 3 points and still be looking for the scorched out. And you have plascretes, so I have to super scorched.
You make it happen.
But rarely does cleaners do anything for me.
Yeah.
Worth doing, besides just be a 3-pointer that my opponent gets that makes me very angry that it was on the top of my deck. So this, in my opinion, I don't run too many 3-pointers if I run any. So it's probably going to be somewhere between 1 and 3. So you may be running 1 3-pointer anyway.
I mean, how often is this effect going to be more useful than the cleaners?
Very often, if your best agenda lets you search for your deck and get any card you want.
That's fair.
So at the moment, it's in my
That's
Weyland
the
deck.
one time.
Where Atlas is literally the best agenda Weyland has, and they very consistently have it with some counters on it. So the ability to take something you've trashed, whatever it may be, and put it back in the deck can be critically important.
And I think it could also,
the one case!
just because we have so many ways to shuffle the deck nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'll put this
Sideways, front ways.
Yeah.
Upside down.
Hindu shuffle.
Facing your opponent.
The riffle.
I love you went Hindu. I don't know where that came from.
That's
You know the Hindu
that's
shuffle.
the-
Yeah.
It's very nice.
We know, I know. You know,
That's
I know.
so good.
But, so, there are lots of ways. It's like I can put snares back in my deck and then shuffle, and then it's like, well, crap. Or, you
And
are
it
playing
is
against
really
noise.
good
He's
against
really
noise.
popular right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. All right, well, you better get in archives quick.
It's true.
All right.
It's something.
We'll move on. Next up, we have the Docklands Crackdown. It's 2 cost, neutral asset, 3 trash. Click, click. Place 1 power counter on Docklands Crackdown. The install cost of the first card the runner installs each turn is increased by 1 for each power counter on Docklands Crackdown.
In a perfect world, this could be a lock on the runner, like where it gets roll bad.
bad.
Can't install anything.
Like it's
bad?
got 7 counters on it, and they can't install anything to get in the server to trash it. Like those kinds of situations. Likelihood of that happening is about 1%, though. I think this just gets trashed.
If it wasn't 2 to res, maybe.
Yeah.
But if you're spending 2 to res it, you're playing a card slot, and then you're spending 2 clicks to increase by 1, which really 1 isn't that significant.
Well, especially like a card that is so dead in some games. Like you're playing against Gabe, and it's like, well, that was cool. You didn't install 2 cards.
Yeah, it's like this game.
So
if it was every card the runner installs, we might be getting somewhere. I mean, and this could be one of those things that it's just insane after I try it.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
But looking on the surface,
we'll give it a shot.
I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, maybe in the future we get like some power counter shifties, like some trick of light for power counters and stuff. Maybe they would go.
It could also be that'd be super powerful if they had that. By the way, the power counter abilities are huge.
My mind's blown.
Anyways, it could also be the case the like can't get in kind of deck, like whether it's the Jinteki shenanigans that you do or like the off the grid, grid, where I just have it over here protected by something annoying and like I'm just advancing it and then it just gets more annoying. I don't know. It's interesting, but I just feel like there's so many times when it literally requires your opponent doing a thing, which I hate.
I mean, let's look at it this way. You're spending 2 clicks to make me spend 1 extra credit.
Every turn that you install something.
Every time that I install something, yeah.
Which is it's really good against like Kate, right?
I'm probably going to install anything if it's not immediately getting me into this and trashing it. I would imagine this become like once it gets 2 on it, you're like, I don't need to bother with anything except drawing and getting into this.
Which might be...
It could be a thing. Like,
could be okay.
Behind some pretty stiff things.
Behind an RSVP?
Yeah, we'll check it out.
It's interesting. Like, that could be really annoying.
Yeah. It is interesting.
Is this
I get Inject. 1 cost, Anarch Event. Reveal the top 4 cards of your stack and trash all programs revealed. Gain 1 for each program trash. Now the rest of the revealed cards to your grip.
So... you could pay 1, gain 4 credits, pay 1, draw 4 cards, or land somewhere squarely in the middle.
Yes, usually that's about where it goes. I've been testing this, and at first it was like build to it, run as few programs as possible, which is fine. I mean, it's still about as good as Diesel in that instance. If you draw 4 for 1, as opposed to drawing 3 for 0, it's relatively comparable. I guess relatively carries with it the concept of comparable. So not really worth saying, is it?
Comparable.
The Department of Redundancy Department.
But I don't know. I think this is just a great little Anarch card. I think it can go pretty much anywhere. I think it replaces the 3 to 6 influence that we were spending previously on card draw, whether it's Quality Time or Diesel.
It's replacing it with clone chips.
And replacing it with clone chips, yeah. That's kind of the thing about this card is, so Anarch has Deja Vu and Retrieval Run. And the reason that I like Inject a lot for Retrieval Run specifically is that it's the one card that you don't broadcast what's about to be installed with Retrieval Run. So I can overdraw and then trash something, and then you have a turn to Ice Archives. Or I can Duggars, and then you have a turn to Ice Archives. But I can Inject first click, and there goes the Morningstar, and now I Retrieval Run it. And I can pick up Retrieval Run with Inject itself. So I think there's a place for that kind of deck to hopefully land some Inject business. And maybe even it goes in with like an Oracle May motivation thing where you look at the top card, it's like, oh, that's the breaker that I need. I'm going to inject it out and then try to Retrieval Run it. There's a lot of weird things that you can do. But overall, basically just speeds your deck up. Either way. I mean, you Deja Vu Retrieval Run, you probably run on clone chips for parasites anyway.
Would you say that it injects some life into your deck?
We needed this real bad. Yeah. I mean, Anarch really needed this. It's not exactly like, it's not going to go from tier 2 to, oh my gosh, tier 1 just because of Inject. But it does really
step in the right direction.
Add some consistency.
It feels like it kind of like smooths out the edges.
Yeah. And in true Anarch fashion, it can completely hose you. Where it's like, there goes my 3 mimics. And I don't have any, I gotta wait until I draw a Deja Vu, and then I'm gonna Deja Vu a Mimic back into my hand and then install it. And it's like, in the meantime, you've scored 7 points. So there are issues like that with it. But I think our best card right now may well be Clone Chip. So you're gonna be running it anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a good card.
All right, up next we have Origami. It's a 0-cost 1 MU program. It's an Anarch card, 2 influence. Your maximum hand size is increased by 1 for each copy of Origami installed.
No. Okay, here's we get it, right? The first one is 1, the second one is what, 4?
Yep.
And the third one is 9. You can have a ton of cards.
Well, you could run this with Theophilus Bagbiter.
You
could.
I mean, if this were like a virus,
You could Duggars it. For the love of God, just quit taking out my MU. Would you? You know, where it's like, am I going to spend 3 MU to get 9
No, you're gonna
hand
put 'em on a
size,
gin.
and then spend all this time drawing and Duggarsing to get all these cards that I then now get to start playing the game of Netrunner with? It's like this. I just dislike it so much. It may well be
Scorch
good.
protection,
Maybe you Origami and Solve Warfare, and maybe that's the deck, because you install your Solve Warfare, and you have 20 cards in your hand, and you're like, I can install anything to get through one piece of ice. I don't know, man. I just dislike it so much. It could have been so much better. I wish it would have been like maybe a piece of hardware, and whenever you install it, you can go get the other one, and then like a rabbit hole or something. Make it something. You know, that's not the same old MU problems that you consistently have. We don't even have room for great viruses right now. Like, we're cutting imps from our deck. Do you think we're going to run Origami? You're crazy. Zach?
Solid tier 2.
One day, maybe. One day. Gain X amount
I mean,
of credits
I do
for
want
every card
I do want to
in
make
hand.
the point though where it very well could be protection against Scorched in a sense that instead of running Plascretes that really don't do anything unless that happens, this could at least protect you from that without having to run Plascretes or maybe with some Plascretes, and let you have more options at your disposal at any time. You'd have to have something that gives you a lot of MU, whether these go on something that makes it where it doesn't cost anything.
Leprechaun.
Or your console gives you 4 MU for some reason. I don't know, but I do know that Plascrete doesn't do anything in a lot of games, and this could at least do something for you.
It could certainly power up Kamino, I'll tell you that. And Sweeps Week, it's like, oh, I gained 20.
That's true.
Here's the weird thing about this card. This is the final thing I'll say, and just as an aside to the overall Anarch community, and perhaps Lucas. Anarch is so slow, okay? This is the consistent problem. It's not as fast as Criminal or Shaper right now. Shaper can search for anything that they want, have anything they want, and they don't have to run as many programs because they can go get anything whenever. Self-modifying, test run, etc. Criminal has all the tricks to not really need breakers. So Anarch's in this weird spot, and all of their good stuff is MU. So you have to spend all of this time installing the cards, spending the money, drawing them, spending the money to install them, and then maybe you're relevant in as far as threatening the servers. Certainly Anarch has some advantages, but adding yet another thing that is like, if these 6 things happen at once, and then I spend 9 clicks to draw into this hand size that I don't have, I've lost the game already. So like and even spending a turn to Duggars is like, that's a free turn for the Corp. Like, how often is it that it's like, oh, you purge virus counters? Awesome. I love a free turn. You can't constantly be powering up for this mid or late game because the game is over by then. You know what I mean?
Well, I think too that
makes sense.
That's partly a side effect of the current meta of the game, where fast advance is.
I mean, the current meta of fast advance has been there since the core box, though. Like, there's always fast advance. There's Sans and Astros. I mean,
but the game is really fast right now.
Yeah,
and that may be the game forever. But
I don't know.
It feels way faster now than it was when it started.
You think so, man? I think
it's comparable.
I mean, as far as the Corp putting pressure on and forcing you to go in and check early because they're just scoring.
Yeah.
Like, they get 2, they get 4.
Corp's got a little smarter, too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, the game doesn't necessarily take less turns or end faster, but it gets to that point in the game quicker where I feel like I have to be doing something. Like, I can't just build. I can't just wait.
And playing 3 Origamis is not that thing that you're going to be doing.
No. you could, and then you just lose. But that's fine. So
maybe it's somewhere, guys.
Right.
I don't know.
We'll move on. Next up, we have another Anarch card. 1 cost, resource,
I've seen
Fester.
this guy before.
It's a virtual, guys.
It's a virtual when the Corp...
Foxfire.
Foxfire! When the Corp purges virus counters, he or she loses 2 credits if able. I think you guys had some thoughts on this.
Yeah, we talked about it. I think it's about where it was. It's okay.
I think that the Deluxe is going to make it a lot better.
I think we could see some really serious, like, what I'm thinking the Deluxe is going to bring at least one alternate style to Anarch, which is basically Criminal, except using viruses instead of breakers. You know, so like Criminal has the tricks it needs to get in, regardless of the breakers they play, and then Shapers just play the breakers that they need. Anarch might have that option where it's like, I just have this weird spread of viruses that put pressure on weird things, killing ice and making you lose money and stuff, that where you just, like, I don't even need to play breakers because my viruses are going crazy.
Right.
Like, I'm hoping that happens. And we'll see.
I think that Hive Mind is going to make this card a lot better too.
Yeah.
Because you have to purge from Hive Mind.
Yeah.
You cannot leave Hive Mind. It just doesn't work.
You cannot do it.
It's like trash and sand.
You cannot do it.
Except for more.
Worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Good
thoughts
card.
are changing. It's okay, but it's gonna be hard to find room for this card. I think ultimately in a buyer stack.
No, for now.
For now. What do you think, Tim? Give me some autoscriptor. I think we skipped you last time.
Autoscriptor
Oops.
is a 3-cost unique criminal hardware. It's 3 influence. It says, the first time you install a program from your grip during your turn, gain click.
Gain click.
Trash autoscriptor if you make an unsuccessful run.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to go into a deck eventually, and it's going to be really good.
It's gonna go
Here's
into a deck. without a
something
doubt.
that's interesting about this to me. 2 things, really. Not 1, 2. 1, they gave it to Criminal, which is hilarious. Because
It's good,
Criminal
yeah.
doesn't tend to install a lot of programs, in my experience, as far as just quantity versus, I don't know, Shaper or the Virus Kings, Anarch.
We would like this. in
But I
faction a
do
lot.
think I played your noise deck a month or so back, and it is 3 influence. I get this, but out of that deck, this could be really nice.
It's 3 influence.
I know. I'm just saying.
I mean,
Wildside, Aesops. You have a lot of turns you don't even run.
I'm there.
And then you're just installing all these crappy things to
get
build
it.
their deck.
I get it.
Just saying.
3 influence.
the problem with spending 3 influence on a card like this, I think, ultimately, is that it's only good in very certain windows of the game, I feel like, right? It's like, when I'm in my building phase, which may be a couple turns, this yields me a lot of clicks, and it's awesome. Whenever I start to not be in that phase anymore, it's not so great. Noise is the only person I could see really like, Jin, search for something, install it, and I'm zeroed out basically. I think gained that click back.
I think this also synergizes really well with Sapphire Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sapphire Fair isn't an action dude,
Yeah,
so you just
absolutely.
get it at 5th click that turn.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Throwing that out
that's
there.
a very interesting
This
card.
could be
I mean,
a new criminal thing starting to shape up for sure.
The fact that it's unique and 3
Sure, bro.
influence is tough. But
Yeah.
I do know, like, in that noise deck in particular, there's so many turns that you're doing nothing but playing programs to trash cards over and over and over, and getting extra clicks to do that even faster is a thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that it is not a card that's going to slot into current decks of today, but
Current decks of today?
But
Redundancy much?
decks of tomorrow, perhaps.
but decks of tomorrow. You got where I was going with that. All right, what's up next?
Zach, hit me with Switchblade.
Switchblade, 3 cost, 1 memory, criminal program. It's an icebreaker. It's a killer.
Whoa.
2 influence, 0 strength, 1 credit. Break any number of sentry subroutines. Use this ability only by spending a credit from a stealth card. 1 credit, plus 7 strength. Use this ability only by spending a credit from a stealth card.
It's it's quite interesting, this card, isn't it, Tim?
It is.
This is a faction that has fairy in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be hard to convince a criminal that spending all those deck slots on stealth credits right now are worth it over
Now,
fairy.
hear me out. If you run, let's say, Silencer, which is the recurring
Yep.
credit for sentries, and you run Data Suckers,
You're saying you could just bring that archer down by 6 and pay a stealth credit.
yeah,
Yeah.
or pay 2 Silencer credits if you have them,
Mm-hmm.
but
He does break Archer for 2.
2 stealth credits. So it's a little bit
2 stealth credits.
it's a little bit different than just 2.
So
but I think this card is mind-boggling to me because it's like it's really efficient,
Yeah.
but you
But it's
have to
particular credits.
work hard for it.
I mean,
Yeah.
so right now you're running 3 silencers and 3 ghost runners, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much the source of stealth credits, as
Mhm.
far as I can tell.
You
Unless
could
you do
also run
cloaks
cloak.
or yeah.
which I think is 3 influence.
I mean,
Well-
it seems way better for Shaper to import this than it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, I was
for
going to say,
Criminal to
I
bother
played
with
against
it at all.
Nazir. Is that how you
Yeah,
say
yeah,
it? And they had, it was just like all the cards. And like I'm looking across and they have all their stealth breakers out. And I have no idea how much it's going to cost them to get in. 0
Yeah, and then 1 real credit.
I've gotten to a point where I absolutely actually just cannot do the math, and no matter how long I stare at it, I just will never be able to solve this riddle.
So you just install advance and go.
You just hope it works.
And then they break it for 1 real credit.
I did. No, it was true. And it was bizarre. I did not know what was going on.
And the next turn he'll just do it again.
Yeah, and this is really annoying because he would. I had the server I had up, and I had already rezzed all of it because I didn't want him to get the money. Right? Was Grim, Archer. And he got in for he had 3 credits and got in. It was just ridiculous.
Hey man, can you get into this? Just tell me. Can you?
This makes it even crazier. That's what I got to. It was rezzed and he was running. I was like, "Are you gonna get in? Just go. It's fine."
I really think that. So you imagine this in Shaper. Shaper. The reason Shaper runs stealth, and the only people that can run stealth, is because they have SMC and Test Run. So they can run 1 Switchblade, they can run 1 Black Cat, and they can run whatever
3 refractors.
Number of fractal generator or silencers that they want to. With Ghost Runner, with Cloaks, they probably don't even run the silencer. They probably just run Cloaks. Maybe. But then do you run daggers instead? Because that's pretty good.
There was also some card that comes in with 3 on it, and you can use
Ghost
those.
Runner.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it right there. I couldn't remember the name.
No, the biggest problem with this card over Dagger in Shaper is that it takes 2 stealth credits to do anything remotely.
Yeah, that's
useful.
the problem for sure.
I mean, sure.
No, that's the problem. In order for you to break anything that's not 0 strength, you have to have 2 sources of stealth credits
And I mean, the worst...
Or you put this on Dinosaurus.
The number one problem sentries are really 5 strength. You get the occasional archer, but it's really about the Grims.
It's either 5 strength or 2 strength.
Yeah. And this, you don't want to use this on... I would say dagger all the time over this.
Pop. All right.
Let's talk about trade-in. 1 cost event. Look at Nasir there. He's so dreamy, honestly.
That's Aesop.
Oh, oops.
I was like, this looks like Aesop.
Okay. Fair enough. I thought it was Nasir with his hair down.
Could the Aesop love be any higher in this room? I don't think so.
1 cost. Are we going to see Aesop as a runner at some point?
Also trade-in.
That's what I have to wonder.
It's got to be Aesop. Get it?
Don't you think?
I would love an Aesop runner.
An Aesop runner, he just runs his
I would be done.
Yeah, Zach Scraper. It's 100%.
Ding!
1 cost event. As an additional cost to play it, trash an installed piece of hardware. Gain credits equal to half the install cost of the trash hardware, rounded down. Search your stack for a piece of hardware, reveal it, add it to your grip, shelf your stack. I have a hard time with this one.
It's the first hardware tutor we have.
I have a hard time with it.
You could,
I don't like it. Just looking at the numbers on it, though. Looking at the numbers, right?
Makes Plascrate do something.
I like it for a few reasons.
You wouldn't install it if it's not going to do something in the match anyway, right?
You would install it.
You
go
install
get
it,
Desperado.
then you use it, and then it's just sitting there as an empty hardware.
So you pay 3 to gain a credit and go get a hardware. So you pay 2 to go get a hardware, basically. And some clicks. Install clicks. And trade-in clicks.
Which is fine.
Which are fine. It could be
but
draw
this
clicks
also
to
lets you go get Plascrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have your Desperado or whatever hardware
or a clone chip or a Akamatsu
and it's
chip.
You're
playing
you
Weyland.
could maybe scorch me.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay 1 and go get it and not die.
That's fair.
And then this also lets you run more than 1 console if you wanted to.
Which is fascinating.
Yeah, it is. I feel like
I'm not kidding. That's serious.
Because
because there's a console coming up that is awesome early game, but then once ever you get into the game a little bit, it's like, well, man, I'd rather have a Desperado right now, or I'd really rather have a Toolbox.
That's quite interesting, yeah. My brain never works like that. I'm just not because I'm not that kind of player, but I think there's a spot
You're an
for
Anarch,
that.
not a Shaper.
Huh?
You're an Anarch, not a Shaper.
Yeah, I'm just not a combo-y, I want something that works 90% of the time all the time. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to be manipulating I've got 1 Astrolabe, I've got 1 Desperado, I've got 1 this thing, and then it's like
No, I mean I get it. This is I wouldn't put this.
It's a niche card, man.
I wouldn't put this into Blue Sun card. This is we're going to use this card. But I would put it into. This is going to make it in weird, annoying decks that I don't
I'd put it into watch out for this one.
Watch out.
This is going to be one of those cards that you feel like you do. And it's like, it's okay. And then someone uses it against you, and you're just going to be pissed off at it.
Yeah, it's like replicators and trade-ins, and all of a sudden.
Yeah, just a replicate deck.
And it is good to at least go find your stealth hardware, right?
You can run 1 of the silencer, 1 of.
There it is.
It just lets you. It's a tutor for hardware.
Fair enough.
That's what it is.
All right, I agree with you.
All right, up next we have Astrolabe.
Lab.
It's a 1 cost unique
Bam,
Shaper
yeah.
console. It's 2 influence. It gives +1 MU. Draw 1 card whenever the corporation creates a server. limit one console per player.
Thanks.
This is the best Shaper console that we've seen so far, I think.
You think so? Yeah,
Yep.
that makes sense. It's the most universally
No.
accessible.
The best Shaper console so far.
Monolith.
Desperado.
I think they're the best Shaper
This
console.
is good.
Boxy, but
This is good, and in this meta, it's really, really good.
yeah.
It
With
can also
any-
be.
I mean,
it can also be
getting-
not good.
The thing about this, though, is one cost for one memory is a card we've already seen.
Yep.
But it just also comes with a side benefit
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
oh, you played it.
You
you're
run like
starting a
2 of
server, boom. I think this is fine.
I think it's a great console.
It's a great console. This is without a doubt a great console. Because console slots ultimately probably should be meta sliders. You know, based on where the meta is, it's like, am I running Grimoire, Spawn Modem, Deep Red? Am I running Astrolab? Probably not Toolbox, or Dino, because like there's this thing that needs to be dealt with
Probably
via
not
Dino.
that, yeah.
If you had this at this Gen Con, this past Gen
Or
Con,
if
this
you're
would have
a
been
criminal, if you run Desperado or Desperado or Desperado.
I think you picked Desperado at number 2 there. All right.
What'd you say about Gen Con? If I had this,
If
at
you'd
Gen
had
Con?
this, like when you know Near Earth Hub was going to be the thing,
Near Earth and replicating, I hate this.
easily this card is fine. I mean, it's great. Why
Yeah.
not? Okay.
It's finding it's any. I don't think it has a bad matchup.
It might
per
draw
se.
you 2 or 3 cards in the worst kind of just
It
normal
draws
game.
you one card.
I will note that, and this is obviously Weyland being me, weird Weyland deck, but I very atypically create more than one server.
I'm aware. I get it.
I'm aware. I've played
But like,
it.
even if that is the case, like
It's fine.
you need one. Every rig needs one extra MU.
Yeah.
It like it's just
Without
a
a
fact
doubt.
of life today.
Mhm.
That every rig needs one extra MU
Mhm.
minimum.
Netrunner
Or
life,
6
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, but minimum one. And
Yeah, it's good.
Shaper's probably
Yeah.
running Akamatsu Minship.
And if it happens to be against a deck that creates a lot of servers, it's bonkers.
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
And if not,
Bonkers.
Bonks, dude.
It's totes bonkers.
All right, I agree. Let's finish this out. Last card in the pack, Angel Arena. It's unique.
Save the best for last.
It's got X cost. It's a resource. It's a location. It's 0 influence. Place X power counters on Angel Arena when it is installed. When there are no power counters left on Angel Arena, trash it.
Okay.
Hosted power counter. Reveal the top
No,
card of your
that's-
stack. You may add that card to the bottom of your stack.
This is like Uber filter. Right?
I don't think this sees any play, man.
This is for I need to find one card. I don't care the cost. I just need to find it.
Install it, pay 10, filter through your deck, click to draw. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's what it is.
There are moments where that's a thing. You know what I'm thinking? You just play it for
Ace
free
ops.
and you ace opt it for 3 points.
So
I don't know. Yeah, it's
you know,
okay.
I think-
It's okay.
I think if there becomes a time when there's a runner deck that just needs 2 or 3 cards to just pretty much win, whatever it is, some combo, like
like Ottman Data Sucker or no,
uh,
I'm just kidding.
I don't
Like
know,
DLR stuff or like Vamp Keyhole stuff.
just some like
I mean, Ian.
I
I
gotcha.
feel like somebody like Ian probably runs this, or like somebody who's just like looking around for things.
It's just one of those things that sometimes you have to find that card right now.
like
yeah.
Sometimes you do. Like
Yeah.
I just saw Seasource on top of his deck. I know he has 2 scored shirts.
Mm-hmm.
I have
The
this
thing
with
is,
6 counters on it.
Let's riddle it. Let's riddle it this way though. We've played Netrunner up to this point without Angel Arena,
Mhm.
and we're fine. You know.
I mean, you could say that about every card.
Yeah,
though.
but I think it's.
we're
I
fine.
mean, I could definitely see you have those scenarios where there's that one ice that you can't get past. You have an answer to it. You just need to get to the answer.
Yeah.
It's like, would I pay 6 money to basically like just increase my odds that drastically of just drawing it and immediately being able to get in and not letting
Yeah.
it stop me?
Yes.
Like,
I'll tell you what I could see. I could see this in maybe like a noise or keyhole thing. I'm thinking Anarch, where it's like I need to go get that Hades shard
Yep.
and install it for Jacko and make that happen. Now the question is, if I use the power counter, reveal it, put it in my hand, they didn't have an opportunity to use Jackson, right?
the power counter just reveals it, or you get to see it, right?
Reveal the top card.
But I've used the paid abilities, and they can use the Jackson paid
You
ability.
do all of your paid abilities first.
Nice. Okay. Fair enough.
But installing it is not a paid ability.
Yeah, that's right.
It's another action.
So they would have an opportunity. That's what you're saying.
I mean, that's an interesting ability, right? Like, if,
It's interesting.
If your deck is the kind of deck that rolls with a lot of money, right? Like,
If you live in the high life, yeah.
if you're at the top of the economic chain. Now, I just came off of a game where turn 1 is.
I built a high economy deck this time around. It has a lot of money.
Everyone has money, but I mean, criminals just starts running early, doesn't really care about money too much, just goes. But I played against a deck that I'm losing the name of that stupid Shaper card. Best card in the game.
Aesop's?
No.
SMC?
No, 2 memory, 5 cost.
Magnum Opus.
Magnum Opus, God! I literally during the game said that's like the best card in the game. Anyways, turn 1 Magnum Opus.
Who is this guy?
I don't know. I'm bad with names,
Who's he
okay?
playing with,
I know
man?
what it does. Anyways.
That 5 cost 2 memory one, it's pretty good at
Corset. Anyways, they just played it click, like just moneyed.
Was it
around.
Jeremy? Was
Yeah.
it Jeremy?
Yeah, probably.
Jeremy
It
does.
was a bright.
Jeremy likes money.
He gets a lot of money and then he vamps you to death. It's
Yeah,
the most
absolutely.
annoying thing in the world.
I know this is coming.
So in a deck where maybe you just have easy access like that to just consistent money, like paying 6 to just know you're going to draw what you want when you want.
That's true.
Not bad.
Plus, hear me out. Window.
Yeah. It's true.
It's
Tim's
getting
got
stronger.
it.
It's getting stronger.
All right, guys. That's
Zach,
all we got.
Zach, what does a window do?
Let's air it.
We've done it. Thank you guys so much for watching our Up and Over unboxing. You can grab this pack from us. It is on our web store, so enjoy it there. It's pretty cool. I mean, this feels like a really, really strong pack going into Worlds especially. Speaking of Worlds, go to it. It's super fun. We're going to be there, and we're going to have a lot to do there. So we will see you guys at that event, and if you want to come say hi, then please stop by and do so. You guys got anything else?
If you're not there, we may post some videos while we're there.
We'll post some videos.
At
for
least
sure.
one.
Maybe 2.
Maybe 2.
See you guys later.
See you
Thank
guys.